80. Got nothing else really to do tonight, so lonely on a Friday. If anybody wants to join in, talk about cars, answer any questions I can. Maybe try to multitask here and organize a little bit. What's up? All right, cool. We got 3 people in here now, so I'll just repeat what I said before. It's Friday night. I'm not doing anything at the moment, so if you guys want to go into the chat and ask any questions about the car, about the channel, about me, cars in general. Drifter. I really do not know yet, to be honest. I just went live the other night, and I showed my other engine that I blew up. That wasn't good. There's the whole front of the crank that broke off with the main still attached. So there's that. I have another 318 block here that I'd previously experimented with. It is also bored to the same as this one, but that doesn't really matter because my whole bottom end got completely destroyed. So I have that other 318 over there. I've got this 340 here that I was also thinking about building like a I can't remember what it is off the top of my head. It's like a 436 stroker kit I found from Hughes, or was it Hughes Engines? I think it was Hughes Engines. But yeah, I was thinking about doing a 436 out of that 340. I think that'd be pretty sweet, especially with the top end that I got with my cam and my intake that I have. I think it would be a really good combination. It'd make some pretty good power. Let's see if I can get in here. So, all right, got a few more people. Like I said, I'll just keep going over it as the time goes on if I get some more people. So Friday night, message, drop a comment on any questions you got, and we can talk cars, talk my car, talk about any personal questions, whatever you guys got. So while I got time, try and grow the channel a little more and do what I can. All right. I don't know if you guys can hear that. It's about ready to pour. The sky's about to fall out. I was thinking also maybe an R block, but from the power I squeezed out of this thing, I was making about 600 horse out of this 318 block, and it held up for the longest time. And I've seen that the only reason this had failed is because it was a cast Eagle crankshaft, and I'd seen multiple other people with that problem where the fronts just completely break out of them. So I plan on staying probably around that power level, about 650 with the LA platform. But no, I don't know anybody with an R3 block. I would like to get one if I could, then that would be just complete peace of mind and not have to worry about anything. Never have to worry about a block cracking or anything, or having a main. I don't know what the proper term is for that, but the mains usually vibrate at higher RPM and higher horsepower in the small blocks, and it can, I think it's called fretting. That's what it is. But yeah, that's why I also had this custom made. I don't know if any of you guys have seen that quite yet, but yeah, that was what I was leaning more towards, is going towards the 360 or the 340. Probably the 340. The 360 block I have is a Magnum block. But here, I'll go ahead and show you guys this now too. I was talking about my now fiance had made me this hat. If you guys would be interested in me getting some stuff made, some stickers or hats or whatever. The camshaft, I believe, is actually okay. I didn't really see anything major wrong with it. Yeah, I got my heads and everything down in there. Yeah, I just got the cam sitting back here, but it's just really dirt and dust from sitting back here. but it looked okay from what I could tell, at least. Yeah, it's a solid billet roller cam, so if you mess that thing up, it got some serious problems. But I bent 3 valves in my cylinder heads. I have those. They're actually inside my house, out in the garage, obviously, but I have those valves to put in there, and then the heads will be good. I'll just do a quick, get some valve grinding compound and grind down the seats for the new valves and get them sealing right. Yeah, I still got, it's not very great light in here. Let's see if I can find any way to turn a flash on. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I still got the trick flow heads. They've been fantastic. They haven't given me any issues. Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Why I was thinking about a bigger cubic inch small block. I already have pretty decent heads in the camshaft with these rocker arms because they're a higher ratio than stock. Stock ratios are 1.5. These are 1.6s. So I believe the math on my camshaft, it's a 600 lift. So with the 1.6, I think it's around a 630 or a 640 lift. So it's getting pretty up there. Yeah. So I think at that lift, these heads will flow right around 300 CFM. Smoke Wrench Garage, what's up? So, yeah, look kind of sad in here right now. There's just nothing except for parts scattered all over the place, and my 2-step switch is just dangling down in there right now. But, yeah, I got brand rock. These are, I'm not sure if any of you guys are familiar with Mancini Racing, but it's their house brand of rocker. It's actually produced by Harlan Sharp, and it's about half the price, so it still carries the Harlan Sharp, pretty much the quality and the warranty. They have a lifetime warranty, and I think they were like $400 or so. So that was much worth the purchase. I have had no problems with these at all either. The heads and the rocker arms and the lifters, really everything has been great. The lifters I had were some cheaper solid roller lifters from Howard. Ready to storm. It's thundering bad out there. The lifters and the camshaft are both from Howard's. That's that. Trying to think of what else I can go over. Any questions? Yeah, it's really 1.6. If you have the extra money to spend, I would definitely, if it's a LA platform instead of the Magnum, because the Magnums use the stud-mounted rocker arms, kind of like a small block Chevy. But if you have the LA platform and use the LA style shaft rockers, I highly recommend these rocker arms. You can see they're fully, obviously adjustable. They got the roller tips. The one thing that I did hate about these, it was not fun, is having to do all the shimming and getting them to sit perfectly centered over the valve stem tips. But yeah, I seen these trick flow heads are actually reverse compatible with Magnum blocks. I know for the longest time there was nothing that could do that, but I know these heads you can use on a Magnum or on an LA engine, which is really nice. So that's another reason why I was considering using the Magnum 360, is because these heads would be able to be used on there. And I would just have to switch over because the LA engines, the shaft rockers, use oil through, I might be able to show you guys here. The LA engines use this hole right here is the, well, there's just in the gasket, but it's in the block back right there, and it oils from the camshaft. So that oils up through the block, through the cylinder head up to the rocker shaft, and the Magnum engines oil up through the lifters and oil through the push rods, and that's how the Valvetrain gets oil on the Magnum engines. So yeah, that's what's like I said, it's pretty cool about these trick flow heads. You can use them on anything, and any small block, new or old. But yeah, I got the trick flow heads and the Super Victor intake, so that my top end will definitely flow a good amount of air for no matter what I do. It's pretty upset about my clutch, was pretty toasted, but that thing's been in here for the past, I think, 3 engines that I've had in this car, so it's definitely held up. It's got some Chick-fil-A. Got some Jesus chicken in the back. So for the engine compartment, there's not really anything. I wanted to kind of just reorganize and just tidy things up some. I had also made, if anybody was at Carlisle last year, I had gone to, I think they're actually in the trunk here. I can show you real quick. I just made some hood props for the lift-off hood. There's somewhere back here. I think it's just all my engine stuff is all over the place. Let's see here. Come on. Yeah, here's one of them. Take this out real quick. So all I used, I just got some stainless screws. I used aluminum rod, and this is actually conduit tubing. So I made these to pretty much set up kind of like the 6-pack Roadrunner cars. And you just I just take these rubber spacers off and set these right here. So then I can just prop my hood up right here. And I was thinking about drilling some holes in these maybe just so I can pin my hood while it's on if it gets windy at a car show or whatever, so it doesn't blow off. But that's that, and it actually ended up being about just the perfect size for these holes, so I didn't have to use any washers or anything. So that's pretty good for just getting that set up, and it's pretty easy to actually just set these up. I can even do it by myself, which is really nice. I think that hood's only like 10 or 12 pounds or so. I believe it's from Unlimited Fiberglass. It's not covered up anywhere. Yeah, it's down there. It's from Unlimited Fiberglass. I had to make a little repair right there because it was starting to crack right in this area and crack up through the base of the scoop in that opening. So I fixed that in good time, and I had this came coated in gel coating, and I had it polished, and it looked really nice when it was really shiny gloss black, but it was horrible when you were driving because of the angle on the hood scoop, and it would just completely blind you when you were driving. So I had this painted in some hot rod black or whatever. You're supposed to be able to wax it and do whatever you want. It's supposed to be super, super durable matte black paint. So that's hood. Let's see what else. I got this last year at Carlisle also. I got to meet Nick. He was really cool. He's a really genuine person. He's exactly how you see him online on his channel. That's exactly how he is in person. He's a really cool guy to hang out with, really smart. I was also thinking about doing a, see my battery's completely dead in my car. My interior lights aren't working, but I was thinking about switching over from the stock inland shifter right here, this big goofy thing, and putting a pistol grip shifter in from an E-body. So it'll probably end up right about here. I think that would be pretty sweet to have in here, but a lot of people told me to just trash this shifter because they were garbage, and I really never had any issue with it whatsoever. With power shifting or just racing or anything. So that's been fine. Let's see. I'm trying to think of what else. Yeah, these boxes over here is just a whole bunch of engine stuff. I got, like I said, my last live video, I still got a whole bunch of stuff over at my dad's house. What else? Get rid of that thing. But yeah, I'll have under here to put my other engines, and I have a whole another 4-speed set up over there at his house, and I have a few third member sections for the 8 3/4 rear end. I got this posi unit because I put a spool in here, so this is what came out of the car. I have 410s in it right now. I was thinking about switching back to like a 355 just to make it more streetable. I had my axle shafts re-drilled. These are the 5x4.5, so this is like the standard Mopar bolt pattern, going from the early A-body small bolt pattern. And you had pretty much a selection of these old style centerline wheels and plain steel wheels and rally wheels. That was just about what I could find everywhere where you could get in that bolt pattern. So that's why I had these re-drilled, so you can have pretty much any wheel you could possibly imagine. And then on the front, believe it or not, I still have the drums I got on Amazon. There's this company that makes these wheel adapter spacers, and it sets the wheel out pretty good on the front. It makes it pretty, not completely flush, but it makes it stick out a lot more than stock. And it also adapts to the 4.5-inch bolt pattern, so I can obviously get the matching wheel set for the front and rear. But after I get the car back running, I definitely want to put disc brakes on the front, because this thing is horrifying at the quarter mile when it's trapping 125, 130 miles an hour trying to stomp, and they're manual drum brakes on top of that. They're not even power. So if any of you guys know of any good disc brake manufacturers that make conversions for the A-bodies, let me know. I know Willwood makes a kit, and that's the one I was looking at, but it's like $900, so it's not exactly cheap. I know I could also go back to the late A-bodies. I think it's 73 and up A-body disc brakes will fit, if I'm not mistaken, with the ball joints and everything, because those ones I think have a bigger upper ball joint than these earlier A-bodies do. So if anybody else got any other questions, comments, suggestions? I got a pretty good deal on this K-member here. I found it on, it was a few years ago. I don't remember if it was Facebook Marketplace or if it was Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist, but this tube K-member I got for like $150, and it's way lighter than the factory one. And it strengthens up the front a lot because these are unibody cars. Sorry, go back and look at your comment. I believe they're about the same price. I believe the trick flow heads are about the same price as they were when I bought them. And I had bought them probably a month or so after they had first came out a few years ago. And they ran, I think, between 12 and 1300 per head, if I'm not mistaken. That was the complete head as you see it now. That was the head, valve springs, keepers, retainers, everything. So this is the stock springs from Trick Flow. It's a dual spring setup. These ones specifically are set up for 650 lift. So that'd be another little hiccup if I upgraded my camshaft, because it's right at about 630, 640 lift. So if I go up any more, then I'm gonna have to change my springs and my retainers and all that. So that's not just going to be as easy as putting a cam in it. Now it's getting up to the point where all that's going to have to be changed and upgraded. So I do have 6 at least of my old pistons and rods that came out of the motor. So I don't know if you guys want, to be honest, I could just bring these up when I go to Carlisle. If any of you guys see me or whatever, I can, you know, just give these out for a little souvenir. So yeah, I've got those. That push rod was not happy. Yeah, give me just a second. Let me pull this comment back up. The part number off the back of the cam. Yeah, it's a 270, I think it's 279 duration, and it's 600 lift, solid roller. If I remember correctly, because I've had this camshaft for a while too. I'll get this out here in the light so you can see it a little better. I don't know how well it's going to show up on the live video. But it's the top number is a 712113-08. The bottom number is a 41186. Having some trouble here. But yeah, that's the camshaft. Yeah, I don't know who had lived here before me, but they left this circle track or NASCAR or something crushed fender up there. That was pretty cool. I'm just gonna leave that. So I'll at least be able to use my studs and everything from this engine and switch them over to whatever I use. That'll save me a little bit of money. That's pretty much all that's usable is the motor mount. The motor mounts and the studs. Everything else got trashed. You can see my timing cover is the new 2-piece design. The whole bottom half of it is gone. So yeah, here's my other piston and rod. That thing got wienered. These are very good rods, though. I'll definitely be using these in the next engine that I build. They're scat rods. And the fact that those things did not break is a miracle in itself. Because the crankshaft went and let loose around 6,800, 7,000 RPM. So those rods held up at that kind of RPM with that type of catastrophic failure is pretty incredible. And the piston, the skirt broke, but the piston didn't come apart, which also was pretty amazing. Yeah, that's what I was saying before. I believe it was around 73. Well, the spindles and the ball joints and everything should switch over and adapt all the later A-body disc brakes to the early A-bodies. I'm not really too up on any other platform just because this is what I've been dealing with the most in my life personally, has just been the A-body platform. I may tomorrow, I found, or my brother, I should say, found a real 69 Roadrunner about an hour and a half from my house. He was driving around for work, and it's really sad to see the car just sitting and rotting. The guy said it's been sitting since 91, and he told him he didn't want to sell it because he was going to restore it one day, and all you car guys know what that actually means. It just means I don't want to sell it. So it was sad to see that. It was a real, like I said, it was a real 69 Roadrunner 440 car. It was blue with, I think it was blue on blue interior, blue on black interior. It's in pretty good shape. Just behind here, the typical Mopar rot is like right here on the quarter panel, right behind the door. And other than that, I think it just needed couple floor pan patches, but the engine, transmission, everything, it was a complete car. So if I end up going to look at that, you know, money talks, so he might change his mind if I show up there with cash in a trailer, if he said he didn't want to sell it when my brother was just window shopping and going and asking around about it. So I had also picked these up last year when I went to Carlisle, because I would love to build a 426 Hemi for my car, but I don't exactly have the pockets for that right now. To be honest with everybody, if you want to build a 426 Hemi, you are much better off just buying one of the Indy or the I don't remember what the other manufacturer is that just started making the Hemi, the Gen 2 Hemis again, but you can buy one of those for around $5,000 or $6,000, and you're gonna pay well over that for an OEM block, and it's just not even worth it, because the OEM blocks, you're gonna pay more to start off with, and then you're gonna have to pay for them to get machined. And you know, it's just better to buy the aftermarket one and not have to worry about, if you do blow it up, destroying an original block and all the machine work's done and you just put it together and go. But I got these for, I got them like really cheap. I don't remember how cheap, but it was cheap enough for me to buy them and not even have a Hemi, just to have them hanging up on my wall. But I don't know why they polished one and they didn't polish the other one. They just left it satin or brushed aluminum, whatever you want to call it. But I think that looks much better. I'm going to see if I can hit this with something and turn it back to more of a satin finish. Either that or put the crinkle black valve cover paint on them and change them back. So yeah, I'm any other questions, or well, really just questions about anything regarding Mopars or my Mopar or cars or anything like that? I'll see if I can help anybody out and make some conversation, keep the video going a little bit longer. I didn't realize I was almost up to 30 minutes. So I was going to bring up too, when I was talking about these wheels earlier, I've had so many people think that I've tubbed this car out or put a mini tub in it, and it's not. It's factory. Nothing's been cut. I'll go up under here and show you. It's a 2810 tire, and it fits really tight in there, but it fits. So you can see there's stock springs. They're not moved in on the rear end. Nothing's cut. So those are still factory location. But yeah, I still got the, like I said, the 8 3/4, and it's been fine. I was thinking about trying to get a 489 case for the center section, just to have some peace of mind, because I've had 2 741 cases and I completely grenaded them. This is a 742, which, for you, those of you that don't know, it goes up in stages with the 8 3/4 case. It goes 741 and 742, then 489, and as you go up in the numbers, the pinion shafts and the bearings get bigger and it gets heavier duty. I've got some Mosier, just like street strip axles in this, so it's nothing spectacular. I broke one factory axle and twisted another one, so that's why I upgraded to these, and these were pretty cheap too. I think it was like $350 for the set, shipped to my house already drilled with studs, so that was a pretty good deal. Yep, no problem. I'm glad I could help. I also have to rebuild my coupler on my steering shaft that goes into my steering box, because those little kind of H-shaped little pieces are, I don't know if they're broke or if they're not even there or what, but my steering wheel, you can do one of these and it doesn't even move in the steering box. That's also kind of scary, along with the drum brakes. Yeah, I've been pretty happy with the Caltrax. I really, to be honest with you, haven't had enough track time with them, and I have some cheaper comp engineering shocks. So, and one of them, believe it or not, is blown out, and it's been for probably about 2 years, to be honest with you. But I think it's the one on this side. It's blown out, so I haven't been able to really dial them in just due to that, because one, they're cheaper shocks, and two, the one is blown out. So every time I launch, it's just been very inconsistent. So I need to get that addressed also when I get the car back together. The one thing I did notice, and I don't know if it's related to the shocks or if it's just because of the angle on my Caltrax bars that I have here, because I got the lower profile ones to drive on the street, and I know there's another front perch that you can get that mounts, and there's another bolt hole about down here, because I know I was reading from Caltrax that these bars are supposed to be the most parallel with the ground as possible. And if you guys go back and look in any of my videos, I'm sure it'll show it somewhere, but when I launched this car, the whole rear suspension separates, and there's about this much of a gap back between the tire and the body, so it's separating way too hard. So if I get the other bracket and lower this bar, it'll decrease the amount of leverage on the rear end, and it'll make it won't hit as hard. I had some pretty good luck with the Hemi Superstock springs. That's what I had on here actually before I put these Caltrax on here, and I was able to squeeze a 146 60 foot out of this car with the Superstock springs with the 318. So they hooked up pretty good. The Superstock, it really just depends on what you're going to do with your car. If you're going to do like a 50-50 mix of street and track driving, I would probably get these Caltrax with the monoleaf bars, or the monoleaf springs, because those are much stiffer than the Superstock springs are. But if you're doing more street driving, I would stick with the Hemi Superstock leaf springs, because those ride fairly decent to be able to still use them at the drag strip. I put some subframe connectors in here a while ago, just because it is a 4-speed and it's just very violent and aggressive when you launch. Didn't want to take any chances of anything twisting. So I got these. I think I also got these from Mancini Racing, like I was talking about before with the, what was it? Oh yeah, the rocker arms, because I had gotten those first, and I was looking around more on their website and found those subframe connectors, and they were like $150. So those were pretty cheap, and they just bolt in. Yeah, the Superstock springs are pretty heavy, and these monoleafs are actually really heavy too. You can see how thick the single leaf is. It's almost half as thick as that bar, and I think that's a 1-inch diameter bar. So they're pretty thick. They're heavy duty for sure. So yeah, those have been pretty good, but like I said, I really haven't had enough time to get them dialed in. But I was also thinking about, no matter which engine I switch over to, I think it would be really cool to build a high compression, naturally aspirated small block and run it on like E85 or something. Because I can get E85 5 minutes up the road from house, which is really nice. And then I could bump it up to like 13-1. Because that would really only require changing the fuel lines and my fuel pump. And then I've seen, I think it's from Holly or Brawler or Quick Fuel. I know they're all Holly companies, but I've seen that they make E85 conversion kits for the carburetors, and it's just a set of metering blocks with jets and I think a new needle and seat for the float ball, so the ethanol doesn't corrode the, or not corrode the rubber. It doesn't dry the rubber out. So that'd be pretty sweet to be able to run E85. It's cheap. You make a lot more power off of it than just 93, because that's what I've been running for the longest, well, pretty much ever. I've just been running 93. And this last engine that I had that blew up, it was right at almost 12-to-1 compression, because I had the deck was cut and it was zero deck for the pit with the pistons. Those trick flow heads are 58 or 59 cc chambers, and I ran like a super thin 24 thousandths head gasket. So that would be the cheapest way to get more power, I think, is just higher compression with E85, because then you can run more timing and run more fuel and everything runs cooler. Yeah, I still haven't even had enough time to organize all my tools and stuff that's in for the little amount I do have here. I still got a lot more stuff I have to move over here. I don't even know what's in this box right here. More junk. Right here I've got, I was planning on building some sort of engine pretty soon. I did make sure to get all this stuff over from my dad's house. I have the dial bore gauge and the micrometers and motherboard gauge and stuff. So I learned my lesson the hard way after going through 2 or 3 engines and just buying stuff online and slapping crankshafts and rods together, that you really have to truly measure everything to make sure everything is right. I think that's the only reason why this engine survived as long as it did, and it survived the abuse that it had gone through, was I took my time on it. So like I was saying too earlier, for any of you guys that'll be up in Carlisle for the Chrysler Nationals in 2 weeks, I think it's July 15th. All right, I will see you later. Thanks for watching and commenting and stuff. Yeah, I'll be up there. So I'll try and, like I said, I'll bring these up, and if any of you guys can find me or haven't seen me, know what I look like, this big goof doofus right here, I'll be wearing my Gary's Garage hat. So yeah, you'll recognize me by that. I'll probably bring these up there, and if any of you guys want them as like souvenirs or whatever, I'll just give them away. I don't have any use for them. It's another oopsie from the engine blowing up. There's a few of them that were like that on the 3 cylinders that the valves bent. Those push rods were horrible. I think the only issue that I had with this engine is that I tried to put main studs in it beforehand when it was one of the first engines that I had built, and I was unaware that main studs, when you use them, you have to get the crank journals blind hone, because the main studs torque the caps differently and they distort differently, and it distorts the block differently than a standard bolt does, and it locked the crankshaft up after only a few minutes of running. So if any of you guys were unaware of that, that is very good information to know, and it will save you a lot of time and headache, that if you're going to use main studs to get the block line honed and the crank journals with the main studs. I also need to get a cage or some sort of roll bar put in here, because it's going to be faster than it was before, I can promise you that. But as it was sitting before, I was running 690s with a 318 and a 4-speed in the eighth, not in the quarter, but even in the eighth mile, that's still pretty quick to only have lap belts and drum brakes and not having any roll bar or anything. So that's also going to be coming in. I really want to, when I do put that in, I'm probably just going to get the roll bar with the harness bar, and then I'm going to get the door bars that have the, I don't remember what they're called. They have the joints in them so you can remove it, you know, when you're driving on the street, so you don't have to worry about climbing over it. And I still want to keep the car streetable, so I'll probably get that when I get the bars put in, so I don't have to worry about jumping over it and busting my tailbone on it. So there's a lot of things that I could do with either a 318 or a 340 or a 360. You can go all the way from 318 all the way to 436 cubic inches. So there's a lot of room to do pretty much anything. I kind of want to just use the 318 block just to be able to say it's still a 318 block for all the people that have hated on my other videos, and I really appreciate you other guys that were showing support for it. But for this thing being a 318, it hurt a lot of big blocks feelings, I will tell you that. And even up against new cars, like new Hellcats and SS and ZL1 Camaros, people really underestimate and don't give the 318 enough credit. Especially in a lighter car, like, not my car specifically, but really anything on the A-body platform is going to be fairly light compared to anything else, especially new cars. I don't understand why people say that the new, well, I say new, meaning the new age of Chargers and Challengers, why people say that they're so heavy. And you look at the Camaros and the Mustangs, they're all over 4,000 pounds. There's not any muscle car that exists anymore that's lightweight. From the factory, I should say, at least. I know you can gut it and put fiberglass or aluminum or whatever you want to put on it, but from factory, there's nothing that's light, because they have like 6 miles of wiring and computers and all this safety stuff, which is great. Don't get me wrong, it will obviously keep you safer when you're racing or on the street or whatever, but compared to older cars, even the big cars, my brother has a Chrysler Newport. That's a C-body, which is a huge 4-door boat. That thing, I swear it's probably like 19 or 20 feet long, and that car only weighs 3,900 pounds, which completely amazes me, because he weighed it the last time we went to the drag strip together. I am in North Carolina. Yeah, I live in North Carolina. I go to, if any of you are in or from or familiar with North Carolina, I go to Rockingham Dragway. That's more south. It's almost in South Carolina. Yeah, there's a lot of tracks in North Carolina, which is really nice. I've been to quite a few actually, but the main ones I go to 99.9% of the time are Rockingham and Galot Motorsports. I really want to visit some tracks down in Florida. I used to be into NASCAR, but not as much anymore, but I still would like to go to Daytona. Bradenton. Yeah, that's where Cletus lives in Florida too. I think that's where they go, to Bradenton. It looks like a pretty nice track. Oh, that's awesome. I wish the bigger YouTube channels would do more Mopar stuff. Everybody shows a lot of LS content, which is, that's fine. I don't have any issue with it. You like what you like, but I feel like Mopar guys as a whole don't really get that much attention and don't get very much popularity. It does make me happy to see that in terms of the new stuff with the Coyotes and the LSs and the Gen 3 Hemis, that the Gen 3 Hemis in the past year or so are really starting to come around in popularity, and people are starting to build them more and swap them more. Yes, Mopar guys are insane. I saw on Facebook Marketplace a few days ago, there was a guy that had a 69 Daytona nose cone that looked like he drug it out from the Titanic. Oh no, my Barracuda is a 67. Yeah, it's a 67 Formula S. Originally, obviously, it's not a 273 anymore, but it's an original 4-speed. See, I still got the stock shifter in there. What was I talking about before? I just forgot. I would love to have an AAR CUDA. Those things are so rare and hard to come by. Oh yeah, I was talking about the how crazy Mopar guys are. Yeah, I saw a 69 Daytona nose cone on Facebook Marketplace. It looked like he drug it out from the Titanic, and he was asking like $12,000 for it, which was absolutely insane. I've seen you can get reproduction ones for those cars for like $800 to $1,000. There's slowly more stuff coming out for Mopars that it's reproduction, which helps a lot because there's all these crazy old Mopar guys that think they have something special that's worth $1 million, and it's not. I will say that is what I don't like about the Mopar fan base and enthusiasts, is that they think everything's worth $1 million, and it's not. There was another one. It was another wing car product. It was a spoiler for a Superbird. Same thing. It was in ragged out condition, and the guy was asking like $8,000 for it, and I just completely fail to understand why, number one, somebody would ask that much money, and number two, the guy that would pay that much money for it. But unfortunately, there's people that have convinced themselves that these things are worth that much money, and most of the time they get what they ask for, which is unfortunate because it makes younger guys like me and people that don't have $5 million to spend on a car, it makes it really difficult to find any parts or good parts or cars or anything, because you can't even find, in North Carolina at least, you can't find a car that's worth building for a shell for worth less than like $10,000, and it's really kind of sickening to see. And it's really honestly sad because it's going to turn the younger generation away from Mopars, and that's why everybody's going over to newer Mustangs and Camaros, because that's the only thing people can really afford. And if you can buy one, then you just spend $5,000 on a supercharger, and then you'll be 800 horsepower and blowing the doors off of any other stock vehicle. That's pretty nice. I wish, God, I was born in the wrong generation. I can tell you that right now. I wish I was born back in like the 50s or 60s. Just everything, the music and the cars and just everything. I'm very old school in my young body. So I will definitely, when I go up to Carlisle, go live, and like I said, I'll have my hat and try and make myself the most presentable and noticeable, I should say, so any of you guys can, if you see me, come up and talk to me. I love talking to the subscribers or even people that aren't subscribed that just watch my videos. I enjoy it. Yeah, you're right about that. Nothing Mopar, basically nothing Mopar at all is going to depreciate ever. That's the only, I guess, upside to it, that everything Mopar related is so expensive, is that it's never going to get cheaper. And if you have something that's actually worth something, like a Hemi or any kind of six pack, or literally any e-body from 70 to 74, which I've seen is also ungodly how much money they get for those cars, for 70 through 74 Cudas or Challengers. It's ridiculous. But I was fortunate enough with this car. I don't think I had ever told a backstory on it. I'll probably make a video on it some other time dedicated to it. Oh, that's awesome. The car that I learned to drive stick in was my dad's. It was a 71 Charger Super B clone. He had 410s in it in the rear end and a six pack. And when you're a 14-year-old learning how to drive stick, that'll put you in your place real damn fast. But I've been brought up with nothing but Mopars my entire life, pretty much since I was born. My dad bought this car. He found it in a power line back in 95 or 6. There's trees growing up through it and everything. I restored it myself, but I think he said he paid like $500 or $600 for the car. And I'm one of 5 children, so I was the lucky one. He said whoever was the firstborn was going to get the car to restore it. So I'm hoping one day, now that I'm engaged, that I'll be able to start my own family in the next few years and hopefully find some sort of car and do the same thing, because Mopars and cars are my passion. It's my life. And thank you. I really appreciate it. But yeah, like I was saying, Mopars are, if you haven't been able to tell by my channel, are my life and my passion. And it's just something that's I'm going to be addicted to for forever. And I think Mopar people, even though they're crazy and they want ridiculous amounts of money for things and parts and stuff like that, I think Mopar, out of the big three, out of Chrysler, Ford, and Chevy, are the most family-oriented people and the most genuine people that you'll meet. From what I've experienced, at least going to Carlisle. My dad's been taking me up there ever since I was little, and ever since I got my license, and I've been old enough to be sustaining and pay for my car and my hotel and my truck and my gas and everything to drive up there. I love being up there with my dad and my brothers and everything, but it's nice being able to go and pursue something that I love and, just be able to do it whenever I want to do it. Yeah, Mopars do hold their value. The A bodies, really, this style of Barracuda or the earlier Darts or Dusters or whatever, are good because they're a little bit cheaper and they're really popular, where the Dusters and the Darts are more popular than this generation of Barracuda. But the A-body platform is definitely better for people that are just getting into cars and stuff, and they're, like I said, they're cheaper to build, it's easier to find parts for them. So, alrighty, well, I hate to cut this off, but my phone's getting down here to about 5%. So I really, really, really appreciate you guys that have been tuning in and out, and the few of you that have stayed here for this whole thing and been listening to me jabbering and all that. So, like I said, I'll be wearing my Gary's Garage hat, and I'll post a picture of my truck, and I'll have a vendor spot in Carlisle. So if you see me or my truck, don't be shy. Come out and talk to me, ask questions, tell me stories about your cars, whatever, anything and everything you can think of. So appreciate you guys watching, and keep trying to make videos whenever I can. Peace out.